50's man, because you let Jimmy talk and he ain't answer back. How you let that fake blood talk to you like that? Somebody gotta pay or no more. Music jet flights. Back to first place like you say you smoke crack them up. It's a wrap. Don't make me have to get the strap. I'm calling. Music, come get your man. Get your man and think better and not even speak. J-man, because you let Jimmy talk and he ain't answer back. How you let that fake blood talk to you like that? Somebody gotta pay or no more jet flights. Back to first class. Music, don't make me have to get the strap. I'm calling your man and make that even music and singing crazy. Music, somebody please check on Jim. Singing Jones? Music, he ain't been the same since Max has been home. Talking crazy and that ain't singing wavy. Must have forgot about the $1 million baby. How Jimmy let the game slip through his singing hands. Max, music, having big meetings singing with Mason Ken. D. Jimmy, you did bad. Them 40 boys back together. You're going outside. Groaning, put in the comment section. Jimmy thinks he biggest malls kicking indoors. Breaking entry is against the law. Singing, you must want to go to jail. It's free in the pen. A lot members in the joint. Go bang on them. Don't singing bang my door. No more. Music no more. I told Sam call Cam. He knows how to get rid of you. Matter of fact, get the strap. Music, I'm gonna do it myself. Jimmy, I'm so sick of you. You're gonna pay for the doors you kicked in. How you got all those friends, but they can't pitch in. Everything you broke for, you're going music to fix them. I'm gonna kick your ass, Jimmy. Go get my cash. Jimmy, get me. Yeah, Jimmy, get my cash. Jimmy, go get music my cash. Jimmy, go get my cash. Music, Jimmy better have my money tonight. Kung Fu Jimmy. Oh, now you want to fight? Singing you ain't heard. We got ops parachuting off flights in plain sight. On site. No, I don't want to rap about it. I'm done. There's nothing to talk about until you got my fun. You ain't music and singing got my yet. You better dip. Set you outside screaming with ain't nobody hit yet. Jimmy thinks he Biggie Smalls kicking indoors. Breaking entry is against the law. You must want to go to jail. It's free in the pen. A lot members in the joint. Go bang on them. Singing, don't bang my door no more. Jimmy go, music, music okay, heat. The pain was wrong. Junior, he's not dead. Now he owes, I'm going to say in a short way, at least $80,000, if not $180,000. Yeah, he called you guys squatters and said you guys owe $250,000. Music, so is that true? I don't know nothing about I don't know nothing about that. That's what it sound like. Sound like Jim. You don't want to do nothing with that. You heard? Leave him out the conversation. 50 Cent just dropped surveillance footage showing Jim Jones kicking in the doors of his own Bronx studio right after getting served with an eviction notice. Before that, he leaked audio of the landlord allegedly saying Jones was over $200,000 behind on rent. And even earlier, he posted clips of that same studio sitting with no heat and no electricity during a freezing New York winter. But this didn't start yesterday. 4 years, 50 been calling Jim Jones a federal music informant, clowning his album sales and moving him around like a chess piece. Music in one of the coldest long plays hip-hop has ever seen. I'm so afraid of John Rue, Jim, Music Jones, and Freaky that I'm hiding out in Texas. Please, whatever you do, this ain't some random flare-up. 50 Cent has been slowly breaking down. Music, Jim Jones for nearly 2 decades, and it goes way deeper than music. This traces back to Dipset, a stage concert moment, a so-called peace deal Jim was left out of, and music, a pattern that made Curtis Jackson decide early on that Joseph Gawler Jones to music would never get his respect. If you really want to know why 50 never respected Jim, Music, Jones, we got to rewind to the mid-2000s when everything quietly started falling into place. When New York hip-hop was split down the middle, music was real pressure in the city. Music on one side, you had Gun It 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yo, and later, Music, Young Buck. Fresh off the wild success of Get Rich or Die Trying, which moved nearly 9 million copies in the US alone. That run was serious. Charts locked, streets locked, industry watching every move. On the other side stood the diplomats, Cameron, Jim Jones, Music, Jules Santana, and Freaky Zeke running Coke Records and owning the mixtape scene with that Harlem swagger. Music and flashy energy. Both crews were heavy hitters. Both rep New York and both wanted that top spot. So why would you let him do a deal at Koch, a place that you think is the graveyard? It is the graveyard. So why would you let your man the only one? You know what? Why would you let your buddy wear you that you mess with? Because he asked for it. The tension, music between 50 and Dipset had been brewing for years. Mostly slick comments, side shots, and competitive pride. But in 2007, it blew wide open. 50 Cent pulled up to Angie Martinez's show on Hot 97 and flat out called Coke. Music, record's a graveyard, saying it's where artists go when they're no longer relevant. That was a direct swing at Dipset. Music, especially Jim Jones and Cameron, who were KO's biggest names at the time. The city lit up with back and forth talk on air and in the streets. But what 50 did next that moved it to a whole different level. Music, back in 2007, right in the middle of his war with Cameron, 50 Cent pulled a move that shook the whole Dip camp to music, the core. At a packed New York City concert. Instead of keeping it hostile, 50 Music brought Jim Jones and Jules Santana on stage with him. Not as rivals, but as guests. The crowd, Music, lost it, but behind the scenes, that moment hit different. It made it look like Jim was rocking with the enemy. And that image alone was powerful. People argued for years about what music really happened. Was Jim cool with 50? Or did he just get swept up in the hype of the moment? Fast forward to 2024, and 50 finally broke it down himself on Cameron's YouTube show Talk with Flea. Music, he sat across from Cam and admitted the whole thing was calculated from a jump. No, I just took the shot murder to see because I was sure he was going to go for it. But Music was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Laughter, you got to watch to see how it was. He didn't bring Jim out because there was love there. Music, he did it to shake Cameron's position inside Dipset, even if it was temporary. That Music move planted doubt inside the crew. It created tension, and 50 used Jim Jones as the chess piece to quietly isolate Cam from his own team. According to 50, the plan worked perfectly. Dipset was already dealing with quiet tension behind the scenes, and that concert moment only made it worse. Jim Jones became the guy who stood on Music stage with the enemy, whether he meant to or not. He walked straight into 50's setup, and that detail matters, because 50 didn't just out-rap Jim in a beef. He positioned him. He played him. That's a different type of disrespect. That's not about bars or diss tracks. That's the kind of move that says you're not even my opponent. You're just a piece on the board. Now, fast forward. After years of shots, slick comments, and online jabs, 50 Cent and Cameron shocked everybody by ending their beef. Music, they both went on Instagram and cleared the air with Cam, saying the rivalry was music, mostly music, and there was never real personal hate. By June 2017, Music, it was official. 50 and Cam hit the stage together at Dry's nightclub in Las Vegas. Two New York heavyweights side by side. No games this time. It felt like a real hip-hop moment. But here's where it gets cold. Music, Jim Jones was nowhere in that peace deal. When 50 and Cam patched things up, nobody called Jim. Nobody brought him into the room. A founding Dipset, Music, member left outside while his longtime partner and former rival shook hands inside. Cameron, the same man Jim, Music, stood next to from day one, didn't push for him. And 50, he clearly never wanted Jim sitting at that table. Jim Jones went from being a core piece of the Dipset empire to the member nobody stepped up for, and it only spiraled from there. In the years that followed, Cameron, Music, and 50 Cent actually linked up and started trolling Jim together on social media. Think about that. The man who once stood at the front of the Diplomats was now the punchline, while his former leader joked alongside the same rival who once tried to tear the crew apart. That kind of switch-up doesn't happen overnight. It happens when respect fades and alliances shift. And when your own circle stops riding for you, the culture takes notes. Around 2019, things got way more serious. That's cool, but now you got to get violated. Yeah, super violated. Super duper. So ain't too much he can really do unless he go run around with 100 securities all day. During the federal RICO trial involving Tekashi 69, Jim Jones's name popped up in court documents and wiretap references tied to the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, the same group central to that case. Reports claim Jones was mentioned in discussions about a planned super violation against Music, someone connected to the situation. Still, he was never formally charged like several others were. 50 wasted no time reacting. He jumped online, posting screenshots he said were court transcripts claiming Jim was listed as a cooperating individual. He flat out called him a federal informant and suggested the reason Jones avoided heavy charges while others faced decades was because he was working with federal authorities. Jim Jones jumped on Instagram fast, shutting everything down and denying it all. He posted messages saying 50 was straight up lying and that the paperwork talk was completely fabricated. At one point, he wrote, "Why you keep on lying? Why you keep on lying?" Then brushed it off with a casual Lolo. "I'm going back to sleep," but 50 wasn't easing up at all. "Why you calling Jim? Let's call it from a federal prison. Why you calling Jim Jones naming interview with what? Why you doing things like that? You still trying to get people indicted? What type of time are you on? If you didn't tell, if you're like, you know what I'm saying?" He kept flooding the timeline with alleged court documents, memes, edited music clips, pushing the same narrative again and again for months straight. The informant claims started following Jim everywhere. Then in March 2025, TR3 Avery Shoddy, who was directly involved in the Tekashi case, publicly spoke out and pushed back on the rumors. Shoddy said on record that Jim Jones never cooperated with federal authorities and that his record was clean. That should have slowed things down, right? Not at all. 50 kept referencing the claims in posts and interviews like nothing changed. Whether 50 truly believed, it almost didn't matter anymore. He understood something key about hip-hop culture. Music, once you plant that seed, it sticks. All of these reincarnations, all of those name changes are attached to really bad deeds. Every time Jim's name pops up online, somebody brings up those allegations in the comments. That shadow never fully leaves. And that strategy. 50 wasn't just arguing with Jim Jones. He was chipping away at his credibility in a culture where reputation is everything. By late 2024, though, 50 had moved into bigger arenas than rap beef. His Netflix docu-series on Sean Diddy Combs, The Reckoning, became one of the most talked about projects in entertainment, proving he was playing chess on a much larger board. The 4-episode series broke down the allegations surrounding Sean Diddy Combs, music, and 50 was the executive producer steering the whole thing. On December 15, 2024, Jim Jones sat down on his podcast, Let's Rap About It, alongside Mino, Fabulous, and Dave East. And he didn't hold back. Yeah, he called you guys squatters and said you guys owe $250,000. So is that true? I don't know nothing about that. He called 50's documentary a mockumentary and accused him of being petty and cashing in on Diddy's legal drama. He even told 50 to stay out of it. That right there, big mistake. Within hours, 50 hit Instagram with a response that flipped the whole energy of the beef. He labeled the Let's Rap About It crew squatters and claimed they owed over $250,000 in back rent for the studio where they filmed their podcast. At least $80,000, if not $180,000. Then he posted a headline screenshot showing Jim Jones had previously lost a home to foreclosure. And he didn't stop there. 50 Music dropped what he said was a voicemail from the landlord of Jim's IFC studios in the Bronx complaining about months of unpaid rent. Music and calling out the constant excuses. The landlord allegedly detailed missed payments, broken promises, and Music frustration dealing with tenants who weren't paying at least $80,000, maybe even $180,000. Jim tried to jab at 50 over the Diddy documentary, and 50 came back by putting his financial situation on blast for the whole internet to see Music and singing. You know I Got Power like that wasn't just a rap response, it was a public audit, and it hit Jim right in the pockets, tried to clap back by posting an edited photo of 50 with a feminine hairstyle captioning it Meet Killer Curly Ladies and Gentlemen. The podcast crew also answered on WAX. On Christmas Day 2025, Fabulous, Jim Jones, Mino, and Dave East dropped a freestyle called Squatters' Rights over 50 Cent's own instrumentals. Fabulous even joked about renaming the show to Let's Squat About It. They were laughing, but the tone had already shifted. The spotlight wasn't on the documentary anymore. It was on Jim's rent situation. And that's 50's real move. He doesn't just respond. He redirects the whole conversation. Then, early 2026 made it worse. 50 posted surveillance footage allegedly showing Jim Jones at IFC Studios in the Bronx kicking indoors after a formal eviction notice was served. Reports said the lease had been terminated and cameras caught Jones trying to get back into the studio space. 50 uploaded the clip with the caption, "Wanna be friends?" turning a tough moment into a viral joke for millions to see. He even shared what he claimed was the eviction notice itself, making it look less like online talk and more like paperwork with real weight behind it. But 50 still wasn't done. He dropped more footage that allegedly showed the studio sitting with no heat and no electricity. In the clip, someone believed to be Jim Jones looked bundled up in heavy winter gear inside the building trying to work through one of the coldest stretches of a New York winter. 50 jumped on Instagram and wrote, "It's 10 degrees below zero in New York. Old boy kicking the door, trying to get some heat." That post spread fast. Then Cameron added his own shots. His former Dipset brother posted, "How you worried about me when you heat off and rent due?" And followed it with, "Is hate for you to be 50 years old with no heat." The tone was cold. Music, jokes were flying. Some even hinted Jim might need a Cash App donation just to cover the utilities. 50, Music, took it even further. He publicly said he was thinking about buying the whole building so he could collect their checks himself. Whether that was serious or just talk, the message landed hard. It painted a picture that 50 had so much leverage he could literally become Jim's landlord. I sound like Jim. I don't want to do nothing with that. Music sucker. You heard? Leave me. Leave him out the conversation. Later, reports claimed Jim Jones wired around $200,000 to settle the back rent and keep the studio. But by then, the surveillance clips were everywhere. The eviction angle was already headline news on hip-hop blogs and online. Jim had become the main punchline across the culture. When you step back and look at the full picture, it becomes clear why 50 Cent never respected Jim Jones. It's not music about one interview or one post. It's a pattern that's been playing out for almost 20 years. Jim has spent that time taking shots at 50, calling him a sucker on The Breakfast Club in February 2026, Music questioning his business moves on podcasts, and throwing jabs in almost every interview that would give him a mic. But every time Jim talks, 50 answers with music receipts, not just words, documents, surveillance clips, audio recordings, financial paperwork, even eviction notices. Jim speaks, 50 exposes. That's been the cycle. Then came the AI diss track. In October 2025, 50 posted an AI-generated disc aimed at Jim Jones on Instagram. Music, he didn't even step into the booth himself. He let artificial intelligence deliver lines mocking Jim's toughness and credibility. That move alone spoke volumes. It showed how 50 views this rivalry to him. It's not worth studio time. It's something to joke about between meetings. When Jim called 50 a sucker and said he wouldn't do a Verzu-style battle with him, 50 fired back and labeled him delusional. That exchange summed it up. Two men talking, but only one controlling the narrative. He kept pointing out the gap in their careers, music, their sales, and their cultural impact. And honestly, the numbers backed him up. From a start, 50 Cent never viewed Jim Jones as an equal. He saw him as leverage. Back in 2007, he used him to crack Dipset from the inside. Over the years, he turned him music into easy content, someone to clown when he needed a headline. Financial issues, legal drama, online moments. It all became ammunition in 50's hands. And maybe music. The coldest part, even Cameron, Jim's Dipset brother, the man he helped build the Diplomats with from day one, ended up joking alongside 50, the co-founder of Jim's own movement, now laughing with the same rival who once tried to tear them apart. That's not just rivalry. That's music isolation. In hip-hop, once you lose respect from both your opponents and your own circle, the climb back gets real. Music steep. If you rock with breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to Dripzine, hit like, music, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video. Help a small creator grow by clicking that hype button and pushing music, the channel forward. Appreciate every one of you for tapping.